Hello, Oracles! Well, Tesla is getting ready to launch. Now, I don't mean this week or this month. I mean it is going to launch as soon as we get out of this macro environment mess that we are in. So what I mean by this is I look back to Apple back in 2007 when they released the iPhone. They released the iPhone in 2007 and it was disruptive technology. Nobody else on the market had anything like it. But they were getting hate from everyone saying that, BlackBerry and Nokia were going to dominate the market anyway because they were the strongest players at the time. Apple still continued on with their mission and kept on producing. Their fundamentals kept on growing. Their growth for the company kept on accelerating. However, the stock price was held down because the housing market was crashing. We went into a Great Recession. We were in a significant bear market for over 2 years. And the stock price reflected that. No matter how good a company is or how good their product is, if you're in a heavy-weighted macro environment that is very bearish, your stock price is not going to grow. So that is where we are currently at right now with Tesla. So yes, it's discouraging. The stock isn't reflecting the fundamentals and growth of the company. It stinks, but it's reflecting the macro environment where we are right now. We have a potential housing crash maybe coming up at the end of the year. We are technically halfway into a recession. Will that continue? We don't know. We won't know for another quarter. Will we hit a recession when the housing market crashes? Again, we don't know. But all we know is that right now we are in a bear market. Tesla stock price is reflecting that bear market. It is not reflecting the fundamentals of the company. So then I look forward and say, all right, well, where is Tesla going to go in the next 10 years? I myself am going to be holding the stock for a minimum of 10 years. So what is the trajectory that I can see over the next 10 years? Well, I go back to Apple again. Apple between 2007 and 2009 only had 12% growth based upon their average stock price. Not terrible, but it wasn't great at all by any means. But then from 2009 until current date, it did almost a 32x because once that macro blanket was lifted, the stock took off. This is what I am seeing going to happen with Tesla. There are many similarities between Tesla and Apple. You had Steve Jobs, we have Elon Musk. Disruptive technology with a bunch of legacy manufacturers thinking that they are going to be dominating the market. We also have a technology that isn't even around yet. We are getting into EVs, which there isn't even a market for, so you can only address it with the automotive market. Very similar to what Apple had. There was no touchscreen cell phone market, but there was a cell phone market. And so that is where that disruption took place. So now we compare and say, all right, well, if Tesla is going to be like Apple, what can their growth projections be? Well, let's look at the total addressable market. Tesla is going to have, based off of their plans, a significantly larger total addressable market than Apple. And their product is going to be significantly more expensive, with margins a little bit lower than Apple's currently, but they are expecting margins to be growing higher over time. So if we are looking at a larger total addressable market with a significantly more expensive product with similar margins, then we can see a similar trajectory over the next 10 to 12 years, but with a higher dollar amount and profits attached to it, which in turn will reflect to a higher stock price over the next 10 to 12 years. And so will Tesla follow the same path of a 32x over the next 10 years? Well, I don't know. Maybe we come down further. Maybe we have just started our downtrend for the next 2 years, similar to how Apple trended between 2007 and 2009. Maybe because of the macro environment, we only get a 12% growth in Tesla stock for the next year and a half or 2 years. Again, these things are very difficult to predict. I'm still predicting a $1,725 price target for the end of this year. But I may be way off. Maybe it's going to be significantly lower than that. Maybe we only see a 12% average stock price growth over the next 2 years due to the macro environment. And when you're looking at average stock price, you gotta remember the violent swings that the stock price goes through. We can go up to $1,250 and drop down to $700 in a relatively short period of time. So look at the average stock price growth. And sure, if you're catching swings, maybe you'll be able to catch it on the lower end than the average. But if you are dollar cost averaging, that is where you catch that average. So if you're looking at the average stock price, and if you think it could potentially 32x over the next 10 to 12 years, would you want to invest now? I mean, go back to Apple back in 2007, 2008. With all the hate that they were getting, all the people who were bashing Apple, saying they were never going to succeed, saying that BlackBerry and Nokia were going to dominate the market, would you have wanted to be an investor back then at the time? Probably not. But looking back at it now, would you have loved to invest in Apple during those 3 years? Absolutely. 32x over 10 years? That's significant. So looking at Tesla now, we are in that same predicament. We have this option right now to make these investments. Do we know what's going to happen over the next 10 years? Absolutely not. It could completely crumble and fall down. But looking at the history of Apple, looking at all the similarities between Tesla and Apple, looking at the total addressable market that Tesla has and all their potential for the future, are you willing to take that chance to get a potential 32x on your portfolio and your investment over the next 10 to 12 years? I know I am, which is why I currently have slated for 69% of my portfolio to be Tesla. So these are what I'm doing for myself. These are just the things that I'm looking at as far as where do I want to see the stock going in the future? Where do I think it's going to go? And where do I want to put my money? And looking at all of this, and that doesn't even include Optimus. Like, I haven't even put Optimus into this. This is just based off of the EV growth that we can see over the next 10 years. And then, you throw robotaxis into it, which are another piece. There are so many little pieces of Tesla that haven't even really been included into the potential of the company because we haven't gotten clarity as far as, yes, this is factually going to happen. We just have a lot of strong potential. And that's why a lot of bears that are out there are saying, well, Tesla hasn't proven it yet, so we are not going to put it into our valuation models. And many analysts do not do that. So those of us as retail investors invest because we have faith in Elon and Tesla to get us there. And that is why investing now for me is highly important, because as soon as those things become reality, as soon as FSD is solved, stock price is going to take off. And then robotaxis are going to cause the stock price to go even higher. Optimus, showing what it's truly capable of, is going to be the next stepping stone to take the stock off. So I am taking that investment right now and saying, I believe that the company will solve these problems, and I believe that because of that, the stock price will significantly multiply over the next 10 to 12 years. Currently, my stock price valuation has the stock doing about a 17x over the next 10 years. So that's half of what Apple had done over 10 years after the housing crash. So I may be bearish to some, and I may be bullish to others. So I'm looking at averages, so honestly, I'm probably right in the middle based upon a lot of the different analysts that are out there between retail and institutions. And so I will ask you the same question that I ask myself. If Tesla is going to trade sideways, and on an average, maybe only get a 12% growth over the next 2 years, and have a violent roller coaster ride up and down over those 2 years, am I willing to invest now for the potential of a 32x over the next 10 years? Like I said, I am. Let me know in the comments below if you would be willing to take that risk on Tesla. Thank you all so much for watching. I appreciate all of your support and feedback. If you have not subscribed, please do so down below. Sign yourself up for notifications. I am over on Twitter at OracleTim1. I share all the latest Tesla news, pertinent stock market information, and all of my daily trades. Thank you so much. Have a great one.